Where do we even start? Well, we are so back. We are so back after a brief 350-year hiatus. The podcast is making a return. So welcome back to A Very Nice Day with Kelly Grace May. It's me, Kelly Grace May. I'm back. As you can see, if you're watching this, I am in a very aesthetic, cutesy, beige studio. I have made the decision to stop trying to figure it out myself as far as technology, as far as audio, editing. Like, if I was going to bring this podcast back, I had to, for the love of God, start delegating things and just sit down and do what I know how to do, which is not shut the fuck up. So I have delegated, I have outsourced, and by that I really just mean pay for things like editing, audio, and thus a studio space. So I actually recognize this space from a lot of my favorite podcasts. So that's kind of cool. But I feel like this is going to be a really good thing for me. Not trying to do it all, not trying to do the things that I'm bad at, because that takes away from the things that I'm good at. So here we are in said studio. And I'm so excited to be back on the mic. It is a weird feeling because, again, it has been 350 years, but I said to myself, if I want to do this, I have to take it really seriously and I have to treat it like it's a business and have a game plan. I mean, not too much of a game plan because that takes away from me being myself. So I started actually making a list of things I wanted to talk about, but I decided, no, let's not make a list. Like, we could have 3 bullet points, no more, but a plan as far as banking episodes so that I'm not scrambling every week trying to get an episode out. Like, I'm going to record and batch and then shoot them out. So that is the plan right now. I'm recording this on September 3rd, so things could change, obviously, by the time this comes out. But that is the podcast plan as of now, and I'm just excited to get back to yapping with all of you. And it's hard to even put myself in the shoes of where I was the last time I put out an episode, because I think that was like end of February, and I don't even know if I identify with who that person is anymore. I mean, I don't even identify with who I was yesterday, but I just remember like getting on the mic in my apartment, being so nervous about the audio and the video, and like having all these nerves around if what I was saying was being recorded properly. And like, I'm like 3 minutes into this, I think. I don't know. I have no concept of time. And I already just feel so much better knowing that that is in the hands of someone who does this professionally. So God bless America and God bless WTF Studios, because that's where I am recording and filming this. So great business idea. Wish I thought of it. I kind of want to take a moment to just do this like as if I was catching up with a friend, because there's so much to cover. Like I said, February feels like an entire lifetime ago and so much has happened. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to cover this as if it were me and you at dinner, catching up with a friend that I haven't seen in a really long time. So we're going to break it down into some sections. The first section is obviously going to be school, because that was a wild ride. I feel like I blinked and 4 months went by, but at the same time, while I was in it, it felt like each day was 48 hours and time was moving so incredibly slowly. And I was honestly deeply unwell at the time. I didn't even realize it because I was just in like a state of fight or flight for 4 months. So for those of you who don't know, I went to esthetician school. I'll give you just actually like a brief recap of like the last year. I started TikTok. TikTok started to grow. I started to build this like epic squad of baddies who I love and honestly would be friends with all of you in real life. That started to pick up. I started to make some money from that. I was working in tech at the time, doing customer marketing at a small startup. I was fully remote. I never really like connected with the place that I was working because I started fully remote and it just was like weird vibes off the bat. I was kind of like, what am I doing here? In December of 2023, I was basically presented with the opportunity to quit my job. And I say that because that's exactly what it was. I signed on to work one day. My manager, who had been at the company for longer than anyone else in the marketing org, had been let go. I got reassigned to a new manager that day, or like a temporary manager, and he basically sent me a Zoom link, and we got on, and he was like, do you want to work here? Because it kind of feels like you're checked out. If you want to work here, that's great. We'll invest in you. But if you don't, like, we can work something out. We don't want you to work somewhere you don't want to work. And like, we don't want someone working here who doesn't want to work here. And that's when I broke down and I said, I actually don't want to work here. I want to become an esthetician. And he was like, what is that? And then I basically transitioned my role over to someone else over the course of a month. So I stayed for a month. And in January of 2024, I left my job and I enrolled in esthetician school, which I started in March. Esthetician school, my Lord. When I was making the decision to start, I'm so glad that I didn't look too much into it, because if I did, I definitely wouldn't have done it. And if I'd known what it was going to be, I definitely wouldn't have done it. That being said, I'm so happy I did it. It was something I wanted to do for a few years. I could never find the right time. And then all of a sudden, the right time was staring me dead in the face. And I was like, when am I going to have 4 months of my life to dedicate to this full-time program again, which I wouldn't have. So I'm glad that I did it when I did it. But it was a whirlwind, you guys. Like, my Lord, next time you get a facial, just put some respect on their name, because you have no idea what they went through to sit there and give you that facial. It was crazy. So the first 2 months are fully online, and then the last 2 months are in person. I did the full-time program, so it was Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. You have to wear a black top when you're on Zoom every day, and then you have to wear scrubs, all black, every day that you're in person. The Zoom, it's hard to decide if like the Zoom part was worse than the in-person part. I think the Zoom part was worse because it was so isolating. And when I say like it was camera on at all times, I mean, imagine most of you are in corporate America. I know that from talking to a lot of you. Imagine you are on like a Zoom with your whole team from 9 a.m. to 4:30 every single day, all day. And like, you have to write in the chat, like BRB bathroom, if you have to go to the bathroom, or you have to like get the door for like a delivery person or something. That was the vibe. So the Zoom part was definitely more grueling. And then the in-person part, commuting to Times Square every day, was not comfortable, but it was better because I made so many friends, which is not something that I at all anticipated. And I was like, I'm just going to go to school every day, do what I have to do, learn, and go home. Like, there was no part of my brain that thought I was going to make friends. And I made friends from all walks of life, people of all ages. One of my like favorite people at school, close friend, her name is Miracle. She was 19. She just turned 20. She is an angel. She will be in my life forever. So she was literally 20 years old. And then there are girls that I'm friends with who are 40 and have like kids that are a few years younger than me. Like, there's a whole spectrum of people that I became friends with. And I was so lucky that the girls in my group were so amazing. And I can say with confidence that I never would have met them if I hadn't been enrolled in school at the time that I was. Like, there's just no way that we ever would have crossed paths. Like, there's just no possible way. So I'm so, so grateful that I had the people around me that I did during that time. Like, we literally had a support group, and I know most people did not have that experience. What I will say about esthetician school, that a lot of estheticians actually told me leading into it, was that you really don't learn that much in esthetician school. And that's painful for me to say, because it was 4 months of my life that I'll never get back. But you have to do it. You have to do the 600 hours to actually be eligible to take the state board exam and get your license, which, to cut to the chase, I'm not yet licensed. I technically have a temporary license for 6 months to a year, but I haven't taken the state board exam yet. I'm going to take it at some point in September or October. But you don't learn that much. You learn how to not give someone an infection. Like that is really the sole focus of it. And you learn the basics. Like the last month of school was clinic, which is when people come in, like you can have friends and family come in, or you can sign up every day. Like there's a sheet given to you with a schedule where people come in and they pay like $40 for a facial. They consent knowing that they're getting a facial from someone who is in training to be an esthetician and not yet actually licensed. So that's why the cost is so low. And I think the best thing that I did for myself was during that last month, I signed up for a facial, like to give someone, a complete stranger in clinic, a facial every single day. We had to complete like 16 treatments, and everyone brought in friends and family. It was like part of their, treatments. You could bring in friends and family and just write in their names and then get the signature for that. And I didn't do that at all. I signed up for a random person every single day because I was like, I just need to rip the Band-Aid off and actually face the discomfort of like being thrown in and touching a random person's face and like doing a whole facial on them. And I'm so happy that I did that because that was actually the most at peace that I felt throughout the entire experience of esthetician school, was when I was doing those treatments for an hour with a random person. They didn't know that like, if I didn't necessarily know what I was doing in between steps, like they didn't know, only I knew. And I could kind of just like be in a flow state. That was my favorite part. As far as what is next for me with my esthetician career, the truth is that I actually have no fucking idea. And I didn't even have an idea when I went into it. Like I just knew that I wanted to get this license. I knew that there would never be another time in my life that I had 4 months to give. Like I could be pregnant in a year. Like I have no idea. So I'm really happy that I did it. But I didn't have a plan. I didn't have like this grandiose goal of like, I want to open my own spa one day, although that is something that I do daydream about, like, moving to the burbs and opening up a spa one day. I didn't have some goal of like working for someone in particular. I didn't know at all what I wanted to do, and I still don't. I don't know when I will actually put my license to use, but I just knew that I had the opportunity to go to school and get this license. I'm fully a content creator right now. That is how I make my money. That is how I sustain my living. And I wanted to have an option of something that I could use should I ever decide that like I don't want to make content for a living. Like I don't want to solely rely on content creation for my income, because I'm 29 years old. I was working before TikTok ever came into my life in the form of, making money. And because I have that reality and that experience of like working a 9-to-5, I know how the reality is like, I don't know if I want to rely on sharing my life on the internet forever to be my sole form of income. And like, there's so many ways that I could use an esthetician license. I could go back to corporate. I could work for a skincare company. Like I could do so many things. I could go work for a spa. I could open a spa. Like there's a million things that I could do. I'm really glad I did it. And I don't know what's next for me. I'm just going to focus on taking the state board exam. And then, maybe in the fall and winter, I'll try to find somewhere where I can work part-time just so I can start learning from someone and like exercising the skills that I did learn in school. But right now, I'm just proud of myself for accomplishing something that was far more difficult than I thought it was going to be, and getting through the 4 months of applying myself like a student, like taking tests and having to be in attendance basically every day. And, every hour you miss, most of you know this, I've talked about it before, but every hour you miss, you have to make up. So if I had to miss one day, that was 8 hours I had to make up on Zoom. So some days I would go to school all day long, come home, try to eat something really quick, and then get on makeup hours, like makeup as in not makeup, like makeup on your face, but like making up hours, and have to be on Zoom for 2 hours or 4 hours that day, in addition to what I was already doing at school, or spend my weekends doing hours of makeup hours. Like it was a lot. So I'm just really proud of myself for doing it. And that's where I stand now, is I don't know what's next. And the second I do know, you guys will also be aware. I can pinky promise you that. I also, on the note of school, I made a list during of all of the things that I didn't know before I went to school. So I'm just going to list some of them. So the first thing is, and maybe I did know this deep down, but I wasn't thinking about it. When you go in person, you have to get the facials that you're learning done on you by your fellow classmates. And everyone in the room that you were in class with, you are just meeting for the first time. Like, they weren't my friends yet. We all don't know anything. You are using products that your skin and you, like when you're giving them and, you know, they're getting done on you, you're completely unfamiliar with. The school has a brand of their own that you have to use. So they develop a certain amount of treatments that we have to learn. They'll be like a hydrating facial, an anti-aging facial, like a back facial, a brightening treatment, like all of these treatments, okay? So they give you a treatment guide. Actually, they don't even give it to you. They email it to you, and then you have to print it. And don't even get me started, because I one day was like, I have to have this printed out. Like, I need to see this on paper. So I went to a FedEx nearby, and they charged me $75 to have the treatment guide printed. I actually, like, it's a joke with my friends, because I was like, guys, I'm going to get this printed out. I'll print one out for everyone who wants one. And obviously everyone wanted one. And then I had to text them and be like, guys, this one's not on me because it's $75 and I'm just getting one. So we all used mine. But you get this treatment guide. It has like all of the steps and all of the products that you use, but there's different products for every skin type. So like, you have to, you know, sit down, ask the person, your classmate, like, what type of skin do you have? You have to do like a skin analysis. And then like there's different products for each treatment depending on the skin type. And they all kind of sound the same. It was a little crazy, like Valissima and like Valora, and they all sound the same and like start with V, and it is very confusing. More importantly than that, these are products that your skin is deeply unfamiliar with. So my skin was the worst it's ever been in school. It was so bad. My skin is just recovering, and it really did a number on my face. So like, not only are you stressed, you're in school, like you're running around, whatever, you're also, your skin is bad. Like everyone's skin was bad. No one's skin was doing well. So that was really tough. And I didn't know that necessarily going into it. And like, you actually, when you agree to go to school, like you consent to them doing these treatments on you, because you also have to do them on your other classmates. So like, it's very much a quid pro quo situation where you're like, I'll do me, you do you, because like you have a form that you have to fill in with each treatment. Like you have to do a certain number of them to move on to the next section. You can try to get out of it, but you won't. And that was really tough because all of our skin was definitely suffering. Also, backless stools all day long. We only had little stools, no chairs with backs. So like, your back was struggling during school. You're there all day long. And my back was also in a very dark place, along with my mental health and my skin. You cannot have nails or nail polish on. Like, your nails have to be like short, no nail polish, cut at all times, which obviously makes sense. Like, your hands are on someone's face. Waxing. Okay. Oh my God. This I did not know. Waxing is a part of the aesthetics curriculum, at least at the school I went to. I'm pretty sure it's like this in New York, but I had never been waxed on any part of my body in my entire life going into school. And I've only been waxed once on my armpits in school. So when you learn waxing, just like the facials, you have to do it on someone else and they have to do it on you. And you have to practice it. And it's also part of the state board exam. So you have to like simulate waxing on your mannequin in the state board exam, which we'll do a whole state board exam thing at a later date. But yeah, I did not know about the waxing. That shit hurts. My heart goes out to everyone who waxes parts of their body, because that shit's crazy. I tried to get laser hair removal once, and like, it was literally so painful. I couldn't do it. And I think waxing is less painful, but you have to do it more often. And like, I could never do, like, it's going to be shaving for me. My legs are so hairy right now, and I just don't even care. Also, your clothes will just be messy all the time. And because you have to wear like scrubs, like a uniform to school, you're just like laundry on repeat, like laundry on repeat. It's kind of crazy. That's basically it. I've kind of touched on the other things, but yeah, those were parts of school that were insane. I actually asked my friends from school to send me a voice note of their 4 words describing our school experience, and I'm going to play them. And I don't know if the mic will pick them up, but we'll try.
Okay, my 4 words off the top of my head: intense, chaotic, stressful, and love. Wait, because my other four words are fraudulent, greedy, overhyped, and...
Okay, let's see.
Okay, I think I got my four. I want to say it was exciting, informative, stressful, and I want to say like togetherness, something like that.
Okay, we've got another one that came through.
So 4 words that describe my experience becoming an esthetician at Christine Bombing. Number 1, it was very much anxiety based. That's number 1. Number 2, I would say it was transformative. Number 3, I would say for sure passion. And number 4, it's between routine and encouragement. Between those two. Love y'all.
Those were really optimistic. I resonated most with Shantae's because it was extremely chaotic and stressful. I'm laughing because she said overhyped and fraudulent and greedy. You know, I can't completely disagree with her, but it is what it is. We are fully trauma bonded at this point also. Like, I would die for those girls. I love them so much. But moving on from school, so we ended school like July 7th, July 8th, and then we went on our honeymoon July 14th, or we were supposed to go on our honeymoon July 14th. Honeymoon was amazing. We did have some travel blips, like glitch in the matrix type of vibes. Our flight with United, which United is really on my shit list these days, like really on my shit list. I mean, they've always been on my shit list, but like they're really just like inching their way higher to the top, like number 1 spot vibes. We had a flight to Naples, which if you don't know, Andy, like this whole honeymoon was a surprise to me. I found out where we were going at the airport. I knew it was like somewhere in Europe. I just didn't know where we were going. I found out at the airport. I was so excited. We got on the plane. We had first class seats. I was so excited. I was like, let's be bougie. I had all of my like fun sleep things. We're on the plane. We fully boarded. And then they delayed us an hour, then another half hour. Then they deplaned us. We were supposed to take off at 8. By midnight, they canceled the flight, or at midnight, they canceled the flight. We had to get off. They rebooked us for a full 24 hours later on a connecting flight, like from London to Naples, or to London and then to Naples. And then Andy's bags got left in London. Like, it was a whole thing. I'm still trying to get money back from United because I feel like I asked ChatGPT and like they said that I'm entitled to like get a refund for the money that we didn't get back from the first night at the hotel, which was quite a bit of money. Back to me, and I hate them. But other than that, a few nights in Ravello. So we flew into Naples, went to Ravello. It was like an hour and a half drive from the airport. Then we got picked up on a boat one of the days, and then we did a full boat day, went 4 nights. Then we to Ibiza, and then from Ibiza to Mallorca. The whole honeymoon was perfect. The only thing I wish we did differently was I wish we spent a little bit more time in Mallorca, because Mallorca is so beautiful and I feel like there was so much more for us to see. We'll be going back. I love Spain. That is my... In like the heart of Ibiza. We stayed at it was like 45 minutes outside the main area of Ibiza where like everything is. That was honestly fine with me because it was like a compound, like a wellness center, amazing restaurants. Like, it was totally fine that go into Ibiza other than going to Camel Fat at Pacha, which was so fun. They were so sick and we just had such a fun night. Like, we got a table, the 2 of us, and mom and dad were we were so misbehaved. It was the best of times. So the honeymoon was amazing. Got back end of July, like July 30th. And yeah, August, I very intentionally just like really had the mindset of August, I want to just decompress from school. I want to just focus on myself, get my circadian rhythm back into like focus on my friends, focus on my family, because we were just two ships passing in the night throughout the entire 4 months of school. And that's exactly what I did in August. Like August was just fun. We had some travel. We went to a wedding in San Francisco. I went to Indiana with my friends for Labor Day weekend to visit my best friend's hometown. We met her parents, saw where she grew up. It was so fun. So August very intentionally was like a month to reset and get me set up for success for September, which is my favorite month because there's something to be said for back to school vibes, even when you are an adult. Like I'm 29 years old. I'm not going back to school, honestly, ever again, especially after that. But there's just this energy in the air that's like ready for a new start. It's a fresh year. We're going into a new time. We can reinvent ourselves, be whoever we want to be. It's like a good time to set goals. Fall is coming, like the leaves are crunching. There's pumpkin spice everywhere, that sort of thing. Like, I don't care that fall is basic. All good things are basic. There's a reason why they're basic. Like live, laugh, love is basic, but who doesn't like to live, laugh, love? You know what I mean? So I love September. September's my favorite month. And I am going balls to the walls on loop to myself. Like September is the month where and yes, I spent 4 months grinding my personal life, doing content. The time for me to grind with the other things that I want to do, like this podcast, content, do merch. I want to do like meetups. Like this is the month where I get all the things that have been just ideas in my head into motion and turning them into tangible like things that are actually happening. So that is what I'm manifesting and focusing on for September. Another thing is drinking. So a lot of you know, 4 years ago, completely flipped my relationship with alcohol on its head. I didn't drink from 2020 to cut it out. I did a lot of deep inner work. Like that sounds so, cliche, whatever. But, I rewired my brain, didn't drink. Then I found a healthy way to reintroduce alcohol into my life, which just naturally, like it just to do very often. And on average, for the most part, I drink like 5 to 10 nights out of the year for the last 3 years. However, I didn't drink from October to July. Exact. And I am upset that I broke it with a glass of Prosecco because Prosecco is my enemy number one. And I didn't even know that. Straight from the plan. Like, all I have consumed is tequila and I've never had any issues. I just drink like tequila on the rocks or like a tequila soda. I never have a hangover. I'm Gucci Prada. Like everything is good. So drinking streak. And I literally felt like I was on heroin. I was like nodding out. I'm like, this must be what heroin feels like. I had to leave the table. I had to go back to the hotel room. I was like, I can't hang. I was literally nodding out at the table. It was crazy. I'm not upset that I broke it. So I drank that night. I also drank the night that we went to Pacha for Camel Fat. We had so much fun. Me and Andy were having the time of our lives. And then I went out with my friends the first weekend of August. We had a girls' night and I wasn't going to drink. And then like in the drop of a hat, I was like, I'm going to drink. Like I'm passing the vibe check. If you don't know what my vibe check is, go back to like my second episode. It's about alcohol and I break down the vibe check. It's basically like I have to answer a set of questions in order to see if I'm in like a mental state for me to drink, because my main issue with drinking, I wasn't an alcoholic. I just had a problem with drinking to suppress things. And whenever I would do that, I would end up having like these crazy outbursts. I would get really angry. I would start a fight with someone I knew or a stranger. Like I was just putting relationships at risk. like truly putting my most important relationships in jeopardy when I would drink. And it was mostly because I was like pushing things down when I drank. And if you do that, it will come out at inopportune times. But anyway, I was like, whatever. I passed the vibe check. Like, I'm out with my friends. Like, I'm gonna drink. Like, it's gonna be fine. The next day, I had the most crippling anxiety of my entire life. I had the worst anxiety ever. I was like, everyone hates me. Everyone is mad at me. I have no friends. People literally hate my guts. Like, I was so bad last night. Like, I was being so hard on myself, but at the same time, those feelings were coming from a place of, I think, like a deeply, deeply rooted gut instinct from the night before. Like, the plan was for me to not drink. Like, why did I make that like split second decision to drink just in the drop of a hat? Like, normally when I drink, it's like an intentional thing, and it wasn't that night. And I had like some consequences, and I'm not trying to villainize alcohol or like shame myself. Like, I've forgiven myself. I did nothing wrong. Like, everything is fine. I'm okay. We're good. No one's mad at me. No one hates me. Like, that is in the past. But I did realize that I've come to this point where like, I thought that I had just hacked the system. I thought I had just figured it out. This is how I can drink with no consequences. If I just follow these, all is well. Like, you can do it. There's going to be no problems at all, which I'm really happy for myself that worked for the last 4 years when I did decide to drink. But this time it didn't. And I was reflecting on it, and I was just like, it almost feels like for a while I was trying so hard to find ways to work, and systems and processes still reign true and work and have helped and will help someone all with like a more mindful throwing back shots when they or stress the fuck out at work. But the way that I felt the day after and the way that it affected me for the days that followed, it wasn't worth it. And it just felt like, I've created these things that are like trying to make fetch happen. Like, I'm trying to make alcohol like fit into my life, when the reality is I've done so many things, so much fun not drinking. I've gone out not drinking. I don't need to drink to have fun. Like, I've proven that to be true to myself, not to others. Like, I'm a really good time, and I know that, like, with or without alcohol. Actually, more so without alcohol. So that brings me to my point, which is I am just back on the no drinking train. I am not going to put a time frame on it. I am not going to put pressure on it. I am not going to put guidelines on it. Just right now, my truest self, deep, deep, deep down in literally my intestines, is telling me that right now I need to get back on the train of not drinking for my own mental health, because I really hadn't like had a bout of anxiety that lasted several days in years until that weekend where I went out and drank with my girlfriends, and like, I don't regret it. I had so much fun, and I also learned something. So I'm just following that gut instinct. And once you like really connect to that instinct, there's few things that you can really get wrong. Like, just tune out the outside noise. Like, you don't need to ask people for their opinion. Like, this is how I formed this strong gut instinct. I think it's always been there, but like, listening to it is the hard part. Like, just stop rather asking people for their opinion on random things. Like, I know this sounds stupid, but even just like what to wear on a night out, just wear what you want to wear. Like, how you should respond to the text, just respond how you would respond. Like, little things that you would normally ask like someone for their opinion for, like just delegating, like, oh my God, well, what should I do? Who should I be? What should I say? Like, what do I think about this? How do I feel about this? Like, just start practicing these little like examples and these little instances of having to actually answer these things yourself, and like finding the answer within you, because it definitely is within you. We just usually jump to asking other people. And I just think those little things can add up, and then you eventually like, you know what to do. And in this case with the drinking, like I know what to do. So that's the current state of the union on drinking. I'm trying to think of what else I need to cover. The state of the internet is dark. That's another thing that's been top of mind for me. Oh my God. It is a really rough time to be on the internet. Like every video that I see is someone's cancellation, someone's takedown piece, a video analyzing someone's cancellation, someone fighting about an influencer and the ex-boyfriend. Like it is exhausting to be online right now, and I'm really trying to consume less social media. I have a screensaver right now that says consume less, create more. And I have a Post-it note that I wrote to myself in 2023 that said, you weren't born to consume, you were born to create. And I always keep that Post-it somewhere in my apartment for me to look at. And I'm just trying to remind myself of that because it's not even fun to consume content right now. Like it's actually just dark and it's draining and like it's soul sucking, and not in the same way that it used to be, because you could go on TikTok and like scroll for hours, but at least you're like giggling or like learning something and having fun. And then you just be like, fuck, like I literally just lost like 2 hours of my life, but whatever, at least like I got a little something out of it. Now it's just like, unfortunately, these apps are designed to addict us, and it's hard to like not pick up your phone and just like immediately go scroll for a few minutes. But even when you do for those few minutes, like in between emails or whatever it is you're doing, like that shit will suck your soul right now more than ever. It is dark. So I am trying to use that as fuel to consume less content and instead create more content and create the kind of content that I would love to see and that I think might spark joy for others. So that's a focus of mine right now. And I'm sure that someone out there is probably like, yeah, that hits. So if that does hit, like make a list of things that you like doing instead of scrolling. Even if you have to go like scroll like Pinterest and like make a Pinterest board or something. I don't know. Anything other than like TikTok and Instagram right now. Actually, to that point, Instagram is more fun to consume right now than TikTok because it's just like less toxic, or at least the side that I'm on. That's really what's going on in my present day. I am really excited to get this podcast back up and running. I am excited to have this studio space that I can book and just come here, get out of my house and just like free ball. And time goes by faster and I'm not worried about like, is the audio right? Like I just know it's right and there's a video and like I didn't have to think about it. And I'm just excited to get things moving because I've been like daydreaming about this podcast for so long. So let me know what you want to see. We're going to have some guests on. I'm going to bring my sister back. Andy has agreed to be on the podcast. So we're going to try to get that coming soon. And I'm just excited to yap with you guys. Like this is where I feel honestly most comfortable. And the idea of having guests on is so relieving because it is hard to carry a mic for 45 minutes to an hour. And my throat hurts, to be totally honest. It's no easy feat. But if you're seeing this and you're listening to this, thank you. I love you. Feel free to review the podcast. Like, give me a 5 stars. I don't know. Think about it. 4 is even fair. Tell a friend and make sure to follow and subscribe. I love you all. And wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you have a very nice day. Love you.